Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Politics here at The Hindu with me, Nistula Hebbar, where we unpack the news making the headlines in domestic politics.
This week, we are coming to you earlier because the issue we are discussing is at the front burner of political events.
We travel to Karnataka, where the BS Bommai government has walked into a perfect storm with the exit of a second minister in the 2.5 years of the BJP-led government. After Ramesh Jarkiholi, it was the chance of KS Eshwarappa, Minister for Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, to put in his papers in Bengaluru after holding out for a while after his name was brought into a case of death by suicide of a Belagavi-based civil contractor Santosh Patil in a hotel in Udupi on Tuesday. The incident has the potential to make the Bommai-led government in the state even more of an embattled one after former Chief Minister B.S. Eshwarappa was forced to quit in July last year. Please remember that the B.S. Bommai government has been trying to stabilize the political situation for themselves and to explain to the support base of B.S. Eshwarappa why it was necessary for him to exit. On top of that, this scandal, this controversy is not helping matters much. What was the incident that led to this pass, and what are the challenges for the BJP in this scenario will be the subject of this week's Talking Politics. First of all, let's find out exactly what happened. What was this incident that had prompted the resignation of KS Eshwarappa? Well, it all started with a civil contractor called Santosh Patil, who was also the National Secretary of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, being found dead in a lodge in Udupi in coastal Karnataka on Tuesday. The police said that it looked like a case of death by suicide. Patil was from the Belagavi district. He had been travelling to Udupi, and he had earlier alleged that Mr. Eshwarappa had demanded a 40% commission on the value of the contract work that had been executed by him. Mr. Eshwarappa, on his part, had denied this claim and had filed a defamation suit against Patil. Following the death of Mr. Patil, an FIR has been registered against Mr. Eshwarappa in a suspected case of suicide. The Udupi police has registered an FIR on the basis of a complaint filed by Mr. Patil's brother. The minister has been booked under Section 306 of the Indian Penal Code for abetment to suicide. And two of his aides, Basavaraj and Ramesh, have also been named in the FIR. This set off not only protests by the opposition Congress in the state, but unprecedentedly major protests from the Contractors Association in Karnataka. For contractors who depend a lot on government works for business, to come out so openly against a government minister was a huge setback for the Bommai government, as its image was tarnished and a massive graft on its part was alluded to by the Contractors Association, which did not keep quiet. They have already written twice to Prime Minister Modi and have threatened to go on strike. The moniker of 40% commission minister for Eshwarappa and others in the government seems to have stuck, and this can really hurt the image of the state government. After the death of the contractor Santosh Patil, the Karnataka State Contractors Association has given an ultimatum to Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai to convene a meeting and discuss the matter to reduce corruption, or they would expose the names of those involved, like MLAs and ministers of the BJP and the current government in Karnataka. The KSCA has also threatened to stop working for a month and announced a mega rally in Bengaluru on May 25th in protest against corruption in the government. This kind of a movement from not your political rivals, but by basically contractors who depend on you for work, this kind of rebellion can go a long way in convincing people that the government is in fact corrupt, and therefore it was extremely necessary for the government of Karnataka to ask for Mr. Eshwarappa's resignation. The KSCA had also written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi over massive graft in the award of government contracts in Karnataka under the BJP-led government. Mr. D. Kempanna is the president of the KSCA, and he went on record that if within 15 days the association was not called to discuss the matter of corruption, they would be announcing the names of ministers and MLAs involving in graft. This has complicated the matters for the Bommai government, and also the fact that Mr. Patil Lingayat was a member of the Hindu Yuva Vahini. When all this was happening, why was Eshwarappa defiant, and what tilted the scales for his resignation? Well, Mr. Eshwarappa is the second most senior MLA of the BJP after B.S. Yediyurappa, and also hails from Shivamogga, same as Mr. Yediyurappa. For years, he has provided one of the facets of a counterpoint to the domination of Yediyurappa. He's said to be cozy with several anti-Yediyurappa factions in the state. He belongs to the Kuruba community, to which Congress leader and former Chief Minister Siddaramaiah also belongs to. And therefore, he has identity politics importance for the BJP. Eshwarappa, in his defense, has been denying any involvement in the death by suicide of Santosh Patil, and he has been alluding to a put-up job against him by political rivals. But on Thursday, he announced that he would be quitting. On Friday, he had to do it. Well, according to reports, the trigger for the quitting was twofold. One was the threatened agitation by the KSCA. As I said before, when your rivals protest, when your political rivals mount a protest against you, you can always say that they are our rivals, they are meant to protest. But when government contractors who are basically depending on you for work decide to come out openly against you, really tired of corruption, etc., and allude to corruption, saying you're so corrupt that we can't work with you, this creates a huge problem. Then also, party president Mr. J.P. Nadda is expected to be in Karnataka over the weekend. He was supposed to hold a meeting of the state executive, and for him to arrive in the state when such a scandal is happening would have been a very tough thing to get over, would not have looked very good. The optics would have been absolutely bad. So therefore, Mr. Eshwarappa was called up by the High Command and convinced to resign. And, with the events having reached a closure of sorts and the government on the back foot, it should be advantage Congress. Or is it? Well, the Congress has been at the forefront of the oust Eshwarappa protest, but as I said, also the KSCA protest had a huge impact, and his resignation is a feather in the cap of the opposition party there. However, the state before this particular scandal broke was being buffeted by controversies over the hijab and the halal meat issues, communal polarization that could benefit only the BJP and the SDPI or the Popular Front of India, leaving centrist outfits like Congress out in the cold. The party was hoping that the focus on community-neutral issues like graft could help it shore up support and build a momentum against the BJP. The resignation of Mr. Eshwarappa has deflated the issue a bit as first blood has been drawn. Therefore, the Congress has said that it would continue to protest against the Bommai government till the embattled minister is arrested on abetment to suicide charges. Well, the B.S. Bommai government, as I said before, was always a little shaky with the exit of B.S. Yediyurappa, a tall Lingayat leader and the BJP's only mass leader in Karnataka. This latest controversy has made it more vulnerable. Graft is rarely an all-encompassing issue for voters in India. Very rarely does corruption become a huge issue. It became one in 2013 during the general elections of 2014 when the India Against Corruption movement came up. But by and large, corruption as an all-consuming issue has not been seen. There's corruption, there is misgovernance, identity, polarization, identity issues, local issues, and the popularity or the unpopularity of candidates in the fray in the election. All of these things go into making a decision by the voter. So, but if allegations of graft reach to the point where government contractors are threatening to suspend work, then even a polity largely focused on identity issues would be forced to react. Whether this is something that is that can hold a momentum, this issue can have momentum for the opposition till the 2023 elections, when the state of Karnataka goes to polls, is yet to be seen. And this is all we have for you this week. Thanks for watching.